worried they are, how they are scared of being attacked in their cities and being drafted.
All right, so you're worried about World War III and the boomers. Hey, they're not actually supposed to attack other nations. What are they doing? Well, they're ignoring us. That's what they're doing. Kind of like the Michael Jackson song, They Don't Really Care About Us, you know? Hey, they don't care about us. They're old boomers. They want to lob a couple nukes before they go, right? They want to drop a couple bunker busters to virtue signal. So that's what's going on. Before they pass the baton to a more intelligent generation, Generation X, they're going to risk blowing up the world a couple times. They're going to do a bunch of insider trading. They're gonna launder a whole bunch of money with a foreign country. They're gonna get bribed by foreign countries and sell the land off before they die. So that's what you get for continuing to pay attention to the boomers. Look, there's a price to pay. Hey, not only are they senile, they're greedy and they're psychopaths. So this is what you didn't know about your parents. Oh, okay. Well, you're just learning now, right? So ladies and gentlemen, we have a new type of government ruled by the smartest. It's called a noocracy republic. So if you take any group at random, they will vote that they would prefer the smartest be their leader over the most popular candidate. So it's with knowledge comes power, not with popularity comes power. The boomers made you believe that popularity mattered so much. Well, the smartest person is going to actually be unpopular. Fancy that. And you're testing to see how smart people are, not how many votes they get. So it's a totally new way of thinking. Well, look, it doesn't matter how popular they are if they're dumb. Look, Donald Trump never understood his job. What's he doing as president? If you're hiring somebody to work for your company, would you want somebody who didn't know anything about the job, right? What if it was the president? Well, that's the case. Just because he's the president on a second term doesn't mean he actually understood his job the first place, okay? And the United States actually ended in Generation X in 2014. Right? I know you're in denial, the first stage of grief right now. You're having cognitive dissonance. Okay? But actually, we started a new country in Cascadia in the Pacific Northwest. I was its only president, in spite of what any hipsters and sciolists might say. They actually congratulated me with a letter with my Cascadian passport as president. Today, I'm the first king of the continent here in Amexa. Why do you think they had all these big protests? No kings. Well, I'm first king of the continent. The deep state of the former government needs to manipulate all of you to get you protesting against kings, you know. But why am I a king instead of a president now? Well, hey, look, the former United States was a plutocratic corporate gynocracy. That means it's ran by the rich, corrupted by corporations, and actually a misandrous anti-male government, a gynocracy. It was supposed to be a constitutional republic, but Benjamin Franklin said it's a republic if you can keep it. Well, what if Americans never understood the right to life from the Declaration of Independence, its entire duration? Oh, oops, I guess they goofed up for 250 years, right? America was supposed to be the land of the free, but you built the biggest prison industrial complex in the world instead. And that was actually just cruelty under the Eighth Amendment. Look, 60% of the population are vindictive psychopaths. They want to see people skewered and punished. Even worse, right? That's over half of you, according to AI and I. You have a torture fetish, okay? You're vindictive torture narcissists. You get a high off attacking other nations as a psychopath. And that's the problem, guys. No nation is actually supposed to attack another nation. Oops. I guess you lacked leadership as the boomers. You didn't consolidate every military. When it's paramount, it's totally important to do this in the atomic age. Because what happens if one of them pushes the button? Well, then they all do, and it leads to thermonuclear Armageddon, total annihilation, mutually assured destruction when we have that major exchange. And the only preemptive measure is leadership, my leadership. Although TikTok might like to marginalize the leader of the free world on behalf of the old government or foreign governments, look, I'm the most important person in world history because for 2.5 centuries, you didn't understand that human life mattered. Okay? Now I'm teaching you the foundation of the U.S. government when starting a new state or a new country, like we are here today in Amexa, a one-nation continent. So when you learn the basics, you learn the Declaration of Independence if Americans didn't understand it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm teaching you the basics. I'm teaching you, oh, hey, human life does matter. Hey, when you kill people in a foreign country, what about their right to life? Right? It's hypocritical to do the genocide of the Native Americans, and then for Thomas Jefferson to say human life suddenly matters, and for the American public to never uphold the right to life. No wonder Thomas Jefferson wanted to start a new country in Astoria, like I did on the West Coast in Cascade. Hey, maybe he knew that Americans were dumb. Right? Maybe he knew, although they signed the Declaration of Independence, they didn't necessarily understand it. And that's where we are today. Hey, guys, you didn't understand something very important. What that means is that lethal force by police is abolished on the entire continent. Look, you don't get to justify as the government why it's okay to blow away people with the police. Especially when representing the government, even under the guise of self-defense. So you goofed up. I have to tell you about it. You weren't supposed to blow people away with the cops, right? And look, you allowed a foreign country to train them to be more brutal, right? Ladies, you should have your baby at term. That baby has an unalienable right to life. It gets to live. You don't get to justify as a psychopath, oh, it's just a clump of cells. Okay, that baby has a right to life, and that comes first before liberty. Because look, if you take its life, it's not going to have much liberty, is it? Okay, and execution was just your torture fetish. You weren't supposed to do executions in America. Look, kings all through history chopped people's heads off. They weren't supposed to do that. You're not supposed to kill people as the government, and that's what was supposed to make America different. So if I am a king, I'm going to be the one that actually understands the Declaration of Independence. Okay? Well, it's to teach you with loyalty is royalty, ladies. No American women in our society were loyal no matter who you became in life, if you were famous or rich. Look, a girl's going to dump you in America as a narcissist. This is why I became the leading expert in narcissism. Look, they've destroyed family and parenting with the help of the government. So this is why I have abolished child support. That's just legalized extortion, okay, when extortion was otherwise illegal. Do you guys remember that? Oh, I guess it's okay to penalize men for trying to be parents, right? So that's the problem. The entire prison system being cruelty under the 8th, and you're destroying the family. Hey, the government gets a piece of the pie when they break your family apart. And the wealth narcissist wants that child support money before she even has babies sometimes with the guy. Okay, so the system is broken. What if you have kids in 2 different states? You're supposed to choose which you get to raise. No, you get the government out of our lives. Okay, and the government's no longer involved in who gets to marry who gets to raise the children. Look, guys, you're on your own. It's a limited government, a martial law on the entire continent, and I lead every military worldwide.